Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into Fire Country Season 4 and Episode 2, titled Not Astray, hits harder than ever. With grief, guilt, and a new chief shaking things up, fans are calling this one of the most emotional episodes of the season. Let's break down the shocking moments, hidden twists, and what's next for Bode and the crew of Station 42. Nobody anticipates that Station 42 will go back on track right away following the passing of Vince Leone, the show patriarch and station commander on Fire Country. However, you would think that Bode and the rest of the team would be prepared to demonstrate their abilities after spending 2 months on the sideline. At 42, Brett Richard is undoubtedly prepared to make changes, and the crew demonstrates this on their first call with him as battalion chief. Testing the station's ability to respond to a 911 call is Richard's first task. When he pages the squad, it takes them 6 minutes to assemble, which is less than his usual time. They then pass the quiz he gave them on the CAL fire safety rules. When 42 is sent to a nearby forest fire and discovers Edgewater displaced inhabitants from the Zeeble Ridge fire camped nearby, it becomes instantly clear that the crew is terrible at enforcing the standards they have learned. Richards appears to have anticipated the deadly situation that develops when Bode persuades Jake and the other members of the team to put property before people. Bode's life can benefit from that final bit of advice in a number of ways. At the forest fire call, he is the focus of attention once more. While he and Audrey are hosing down the fire line, he meets Tiberius, a stray dog. He locates a camp of displaced persons following the Zeeble Ridge fire by following the dog. After losing everything in a single fire, Bode determines it would be better to let them gather their belongings and pack up instead of evacuating them right away as Richards had instructed. The worst part is that he persuades Manny, Jake, and Eve to comply. When Sharon arrives to check on them, she discovers that they have gone awry while they are busy attempting to lift a vehicle out of the muck so the campers may flee in their cars. She attempts to chew them out, but is sidetracked by an illegal electrical arrangement that might either electrocute a camper or spread the fire. It does both, as you may have predicted given that this is Fire Country. Richards comes to check on Sharon, who is obviously very busy and completely freaked out that none of the campers have left. Because he permitted the truck to be moved rather than the campers being moved on foot, Jake receives the first round of Richards' justifiable ire. Time is now passing even more quickly as the fire spreads to the campground. To move the fire closer to the ground, they try to cut down a few trees, but it burns too fast. Some residents decide to walk instead, but the fire quickly blocks that route as well. When Janice's automobile is engulfed in flames, she and her dog, Tiberius, are still attempting to leave. Richard stands back to observe Jake and the crew's response to the crisis. Although Sharon has cautioned them to be mindful of etiquette, he is aware that they will be playing fast and loose with it. They will pay attention, and nobody, not even Bode, will make an effort to be heroic. One day, I hope, these recaps won't require expected sarcasm. Tiberius is trapped in the hatchback trunk, but Jake leads the team to safely remove Janice from her care. Since the fire has already burned beyond 42's houses and flames are encroaching from all sides, the protocol is to evacuate Janice. Jumping back into the fire to save the dog would be risking everything because backup is still on the way. Bode cannot tolerate that. Richards and Sharon watch as he leaps back through the flames, just a few nanoseconds before Janice's automobile blows up and sends Bode hurtling to the ground. He is able to save Tiberius. Naturally, we don't want anything to happen to that dog, but Bode's actions during the whole ordeal validate what Richards has been saying. It is risky for Station 42 to flout safety requirements. When they return to the station, he doesn't mince words. He informs Bode and the others that Vince died as a result of their careless actions. Richards is correct, but it's cruel. Bode shouldn't have entered the Buena Vista building, so Vince did. Sharon would also be burying her son if Tiberius' gate in Janice's truck had been even a little more difficult to pry open. Bode implores her to write Sacramento to inform them that Richards must leave, but she refuses to listen. Even though she doesn't like him, she recognizes that 42 needs to grow up. The most important thing to Sharon right now is that Richards will keep her kid alive, even though Bode will detest it. Audrey is back in town, but Gabs is out. Just in time to inform authorities that Audrey shot him in self-defense, Finn emerges from his coma. She is prepared to start a new life with Bode in Edgewater, but he is harboring secrets. Unbeknownst to her, he is sleeping little at the station. He believes he is being cunning, but Audrey, who also suffers from addiction, is able to spot cunning in others. Throughout the episode, she insists that he simply tell her what's happening. He already lied about flushing his pill stockpile, so he won't. Bode isn't ready to admit that he's taking long jogs to think about giving in to one of his old vices. He keeps teetering on the verge of a relapse and tries to dissuade Audrey by bringing up his new relationship with Gabs. She encourages Bode to call her when he's ready to be serious and refuses to fall for the ruse, clearly gaining some significant maturity points during her absence. With yet another woman who is too nice for him, Bode is about to blow it. Does he believe that no one would comprehend how he is dealing with his father's passing? Audrey continues to support him despite being aware of all his antics. Before it's too late or he does something from which he cannot recover, he must realize how uncommon it is. Although it's a difficult episode, it's nice to have Sean Hatosi back on the squad. He sees problems in the Station 42 ecosystem that need to be fixed, but he is not maliciously attempting to replace Vince. He is a valuable asset to the station. But it's difficult to witness the team make mistakes and get slapped in the face. Fortunately, there is a bright side to everything. Jake firmly decides to remain in Edgewater. Brett may be able to pursue his career goals, but he wants to preserve the town in which he was raised. It is a huge relief when his girlfriend Violet forces him to make the choice, even though this argument with Bode is still really bothersome. Jake is my guy. Jake needs to be the leader Station 42 needs, and perhaps that means he will stay put instead of searching for the next step up the ladder. He is the team's best chance of surviving Richard's harsh affection. There is some hope for the Three Rock problem, as if that weren't enough positive news. Manny suggests that Eve pursue the land where the campers were established, even though the county is planning to sell the land where the original camp was located. In addition to avoiding the problem of tainted water, they could reconstruct the fire camp there. It would be a fresh start in a fresh setting. Who would be interested in a change of scenery, then? Although Sacramento will still need to fund the Three Rock initiative, Eve and Manny are not yet to be written out. Since the first episode, which established the romantic plot between Bode and Gabriella, the two have experienced numerous phases of their relationship. Regretfully, they are constantly separated by something. It's evident that they still feel something for one another. During their farewell scene in Fire Country Season 4, Episode 1, Gabriella herself told Bode this. Given their encounters, it's reasonable to conclude that he feels the same way despite her connection with Audrey. The will-they-won't-they scenario between Bode and Gabriella, however, isn't as interesting in Fire Country as it is in other programs. The push and pull generally feels less like intense attraction and more like a poisonous relationship that it feels much too early for Fire Country to have simply brought them together in a committed relationship. Tension is the primary hook of a will-they/won't-they relationship. If they paid it off permanently at this stage of the show's run, they risk losing viewers. Thanks for watching. For more updates stay tuned and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, please.